All right. Welcome to this podcast. This is the very first episode of my podcast. It's called Jordan with Coffee. How you doing? My name is Jordan. I have a cup of coffee with me. Gonna drink that right now. That's really hot. Oh my god. My mouth's on fire. Anyway, welcome to this. Again, my name is Jordan. This is the podcast that I'm starting right now. And its name is Jordan with Coffee. A lot of people might be wondering, the fuck does that mean? And I'll tell you, I was throwing out a bunch of names, and the most obvious one was Coffee with Jordan, but that's really boring. That's a very obvious, very bland name. So I just thought, how can I switch this around? How can I still make Coffee and me the core, but not change the name? Because I did like the blank with blank formula. So I was talking to a bunch of my friends about this idea, and they gave me the idea, like, why not just do Jordan with Coffee? Because you'll always be having coffee. And I really liked that idea. And I also liked that idea because the sentence, coffee with Jordan, makes it seem as though Jordan, me, is the most important figure in the podcast. And I don't want that to be a thing. I want coffee to be the main focus of the podcast. Mainly because every podcast, hopefully, I'll be drinking coffee. Otherwise, it's a stupid name. Oh, it's still hot. I'll wait till that cools off. But yeah. So Jordan with Coffee. That's the name. That's the origin of it. So that'll be it. And hopefully it just happens like that. I'm rambling right now, and I don't want to be rambling. That's not a good thing to do in podcasts, but we're gonna roll with it. So, about me, my name is Jordan. You can call me Jordan. You can call me Jordy. You can call me that kid. Anything works, really, as long as I have your attention. I am based out of Massachusetts, the lovely Massachusetts in New England. Massachusetts is considered the California of New England. I just made that up myself. And I am an art student. I study graphic design. I'm currently enrolled at UMass Dartmouth for graphic design and their graphic design program. It's a very lovely program. Highly recommend UMass Dartmouth if you are into graphic design. Fun fact, I never knew I was into graphic design until junior year of high school, 2 years before I would enroll in college. Sorry about that. I got into graphic design because junior year, I transferred high schools. I went from a high school in Rhode Island, because I used to live in Rhode Island, and I moved to Mass with my parents. And while I was looking for classes to pick, one of them was just called graphic design. So I was like, all right, I don't know what this is, but I got nothing else to take, so I'll take it. Took the class, really liked it, really enjoyed just everything about graphic design, about how it's everywhere, and it just can make so many things so much more beautiful than it already is. Had a great teacher, Mr. Juba, shout out to him, and it was so nice to have something to be passionate about. Because up until then, I was never passionate about anything. So to get into graphic design and to, start doing graphic design, it was such a revelation for me. And now I'm currently studying graphic design, hoping to not perfect it, but get better at it. I'll never be able to perfect it because there's so many more things to graphic design than I will ever know. So that's really the gist of me. Again, art student, graphic design, 21, what up, let's get lit, 420. Fuck, that's stupid. And again, that's the basis of me. Now, I did want to talk about why I want coffee to be the focus of the podcast name. Let me sip my coffee. Okay, it's still hot, but a little bit warmer. I could probably do that. I could probably use the coffee sipping noise to transition in between like segments, because if it doesn't flow well, I might be able to just have a coffee sip in between. Kind of like how a lot of other podcasts will like have like a random like video clip or like audio clip of just like the name of the show, or just like you get what I mean when they make like a random ass transition noise and it works. It kind of like helps the podcast not be dull. So I might do that if this podcast ends up being dull, or if this audio clip ends up being dull. Anyway, yeah. So obviously I have to like coffee enough to want to make this podcast revolve around it. And truth is, fun fact, I really like coffee. I really do like coffee. It's something that I've in turn made a huge part of my life. I've made it a part of my personality, a part of who I am and how I what am I trying to say? I use coffee as a way, it's part of who I am. That's it. That's really it. It's just part of who I am. It's part of how the energy I give off to people. I'm just a very good coffee guy. I like coffee a lot. And the reason why I like coffee so much is it all started when I want to say 10. I was 10 years old when I was, actually no, I was 12. I was 12 when I had my first cup of coffee. My mother is a great lady. You should all meet her. You'll never meet her. She was very into coffee, and she still is, but not as much as she used to be when I was a kid. She would always go to Dunkin' Donuts because we have like 20,000 of those just on my street. And she would always get a coffee, and she'd always get me something. I never liked coffee, or I never knew I liked coffee, so I never got coffee. I would get like, strawberry culottes, munchkins, iced tea, just basic stuff like that. And then one day, for whatever reason, I got a thing, and I liked it. It was like strawberry culotte or whatever. And I asked my Mom, how does coffee taste? And she goes, here, try it. Hands me your coffee. And I proceed to drink it. Take a sip, and it was the sweetest thing I had ever had in my mouth, ever. And I loved it. I believe at the time she got it extra cream, extra sugar, which I'll talk about that in a little bit. And I loved it. And I was like just so hyped on it because, again, the caffeine of coffee. It's like, I love this. I need more coffee. So I think the next time we went to Dunkin' Donuts, and then she asked me what I wanted a coffee. And I told her, make the same thing that you make. And so that was when I started drinking coffee. And at the time, I was drinking a lot of soda. So like soda and coffee to a 12-year-old is not a good thing at all, because I was so like hyper all the time, every time. And truth be told, I'm pretty sure it gave my mom a headache. So at some point, I would just be drinking that, and at the time, I didn't know anything about coffee. All I knew was that I liked coffee, and that I would just go up to Dunkin' Donuts, say this specific thing, medium ice, extra, extra, and that would be it. I'd get my coffee fix. And then eventually, I don't know why or when this happened, but I realized that I didn't have to get the extra, extra part of coffee. I could switch it up. What? So another time I went into Dunkin' Donuts, I asked for the coffee, but I think I was just like, I think I asked them how, like, I can get it made, which, honestly, you can ask people that. Like, it's not a bad thing to ask people that. I know a lot of people, and I've worked at Dunkin' Donuts, and we'll get to that later, But first, I'm just going to rant real quick. The baristas are there to help you and let you know what you're putting in your coffee. A lot of times I've had customers come in and either not specify what they want or just flat out refuse to tell me what they want. And it would just be so awkward and so, I'll say it, cringy. It'd be very cringy to just look at them and just make their coffee. And I know that I know that it's not what they want. But they don't know that it's not what they want. Do you understand? Does that make sense? It's like they knew they wanted coffee, but they didn't know how to order it to get it what they want. So, we'll talk about that later, maybe in another episode, or maybe like right after this, because honestly, I could talk about this for all day. So I asked them, and they were like, oh, you get it with like cream milk or skim milk. And I never like drank cream, like straight up. I don't know who would, that's disgusting. But I realized, that extra would always mean extra cream, extra sugar. So I was like, all right, can I get extra milk, extra sugar? Because like I liked milk and I didn't like skim milk. So like milk was the only one of those three options that I regularly had and knew what it tasted like. So I was more comfortable with it. So I got extra milk, extra sugar, and it just like, it changed my world, because cream is very heavy. Obviously, there's heavy cream, but cream is a very overpowering flavor. So when you would get a coffee with cream, or when I would get a coffee with cream, I wouldn't taste coffee. I would taste more cream than coffee. And that's what I thought coffee tasted like. I thought coffee tasted like a creamy coffee. And then when I had milk, I began to taste the bitterness of coffee. And I liked that. I liked it. Oh God, I need my coffee. I liked the bitterness of coffee. And the reason why I liked the bitterness of coffee is because, and the reason why I think anyone who likes coffee, is because bitterness is a flavor that no one goes to. But when they go to it, it's different, therefore it's new. It's new. Obviously, it's different if it's new. Fuck it. Stupid. Because they go to bitterness, they never go to bitterness. So when they do, it's an interesting flavor and they want to try more of it. It's like when you have too many sweets, you hate sweets for a little bit. Or when you have too much savory stuff, it's too savory. You know? So, I think that's why so many people like coffee. And I also understand why not a lot of people want to drink coffee. Because bitterness, it just has such a negative connotation to it that no one wants to have a bitter flavor. But really, if you start having a bitter flavor and you just constantly someone is pulling my, okay, never mind. I thought someone was pulling to my driveway. That would have been very sketchy. Anyway, I understand why people don't go for bitter coffee, or bitter flavors rather, because it's bitter. No one likes bitter, because bitter has such a negative connotation. But if people start trying bitter, or start tasting bitterness, and let their body get used to it, they'll enjoy it. So that's that. So I realized that I liked the taste of coffee more than the taste of like the creamer in it, like more than the cream or the milk. So I had extra milk, extra sugar, and that was my regular order for a while. And then slowly I was like, I really like the taste of coffee a lot. So I would go down a notch. And what I mean by go down a notch with like the creamer and sugar is when you go at least to Dunkin'. I don't know if like it's the same with every other coffee shop or like Starbucks or whatever, but I worked at Dunkin', so I'm a pro at Dunkin' Donuts. Each size had a corresponding number to the creamer and sugar. So if you got a medium, the regular amount of milk would be 3. You know? So you would say medium ice, milk, and sugar. People would automatically put 3 milk, 3 sugar. That was the notion. And if you ask for extra, they would go 1 up. So if you got a medium, and you want extra milk or extra cream, they would go from 3 to 4. And if you got a large, it'd go from 4 to 5. It would just keep going up. Like no matter the size, 1 up. Unless people specify, and a lot of people specify, and that's okay. If they wanted 2 milks, 1 sugar, whatever. But when it got to 1.5, or like the halves, or like 3/4, then I would get pissed off. But that's another story for another day. So I then went down to medium ice, milk, and sugar, and would try it, and it would be better than extra milk, extra sugar to me, because I was tasting the coffee more and less of the cream, which is honestly just a palate cleanser, or just like a way for people to just drink through the coffee. Just try bitter coffee. Bitter coffee is great. So I would go down and down, and I've recently went down to, I think, 1 milk, 1 sugar? Yeah, 1 milk, 1 sugar. That's usually my regular order. I get medium ice, French vanilla, caramel swirl, 1 milk, 1 sugar, in case you guys want to buy me coffee for some reason. And that's been my regular order for a while. Sometimes I get black, just French vanilla, caramel swirl, black, because again, I like the bitterness of coffee, but I also like the taste of vanilla, and I like caramel in coffee. I feel like that's a very good basic sweetener that's better than milk or cream or skim milk, to like still enjoy the bitterness, you know? So that's my coffee origins. I drink coffee, I drink at least a cup a day, a cup every other day. I might miss like a day a week because I'm just busy, or just like don't feel like buying coffee. But when I'm home, like I am right now, I just make coffee. Unfortunately, I don't have a coffee maker. I only have a Keurig and a kettle. So that's the coffee I make. But when I do get coffee, when I go out to eat with like friends, I always grab coffee, and I just enjoy myself. Sipping my coffee now. All right, cool. Oh, that's getting warm. That's a nice smooth flavor. Drinking, I think it's dark roast. I'm drinking dark roast right now. Black. I'm drinking dark roast black because hot coffee should be black. Hot coffee should always be made black. And not to say that, if you put cream and sugar in your hot coffee that you don't like coffee. You don't, but that's not what I'm saying. It's that the best black coffee is hot. Like iced coffee black, I can drink it, but it's weird because cold bitter does not taste as good as hot bitter, if that makes sense. So, yeah, I always condone, I can transition. I condone drinking black coffee, or at least trying to drink black coffee, or at least working your way down with the cream and sugar, because I feel like black coffee, it just makes you feel so sophisticated, so like focused. And honestly, like, despite the fact that I'm rambling, this hot coffee is making me very vocal, very like I'm just getting all the words out that I want to say, even if I am stumbling or like stuttering or I'm just like hesitating, because I'm just trying to get the words out, because I'm not the best speaker that I know, admittedly, but I think I'm working my way up there. And I have, a lot of people tell me that I'm a very well-spoken person. I disagree. Because when I hear myself, like when I record myself talking, like in this podcast, and then I hear it back, I notice that I think I speak with a slight accent, and I don't know what that accent is. Like, it's not Boston. It's not a fucking Boston accent. It's my accent. Like, does anyone else get that? Like, when you hear yourself back in, like, a recording, do you hear an accent in your voice? And, like, you consider it your accent? Like, for me, I hear a very, like, monotone voice. Like, it's weird. I feel like when I hear my voice, I hear a high-pitched baritone. Like, I hear a deep voice that's going high. And I don't know how that is the thing, but it's a thing that I hear in my voice, and I am a little self-conscious about it, but, like, I can't really control my voice, so whatever. So that's going to be the end of this podcast episode. This was about 20 minutes, but I just wanted it to be an introduction to this podcast. So the other episodes will hopefully range within half an hour to an hour, maybe more. Between 30 minutes and 60 minutes is like the sweet spot that I want to hit. So hopefully I do hit that with future episodes. I'm going to have my friends on because I can only talk to myself for so long and about the same things. So that's going to be this episode. Thank you so much if you are if you are listening. Thank you so much if you are listening. I appreciate it so much. If you want to share this with your friends, feel free and no pressure. Hit subscribe if you want to, subscribe and, listen to me ramble on car rides or whenever. And that is this episode. I will see you very soon. Thank you.